are now streaming live, and we are recording. Going to get the second record going on. And it is now recording. It's time for 9-Inning Know-It-All. Here's Norm Ordez and Clubhouse Chatter.
Well, we'll just go Clubhouse Chatter with Norm. We'll scrap the 9-Inning Know-It-All for now, but they are one of our sponsors, and we thank them. And I'd like to plug our other sponsors. So we got a couple of them. We got Baseballisms. We got Baseballisms.com. And go check them out. There's a little flag guy up on the screen. And great things up there. They're getting ready to open up another shop in Cooperstown, New York, which is pretty impressive. And then BaseballDudes.com. Chris Gazelle up there in Vancouver. And then we have Base by Pros with Mitch Canham. Check them out, basebypros.com. And then his dad, Mark Canham, MDM Designs. He does all of our shirts, sweatshirts. You know, if you're interested in buying them, let me know. We can hook you up. We got some deep, great prices. We're streaming on yamhilltoday.com. Check out Brian and yamhilltoday.com for all of your Yamhill County news and information. So we're going to be posting more stuff up on there here soon. And then a couple of others. We've got, Proper Cuts Barbershop. I don't know why I always have a hard time saying that, but Proper Cuts Barbershop down there on Baker Street. Go see Carlos and the boys. Get a haircut. Mention that you listen here. Carlos might give you a couple bucks off. So did I forget anybody? I don't think so. Dutch Brothers. $4 Dutch Bros. Thank you. Working on sponsorship with them. So our next guest is, we'll have a doctor in the house. And Dr. Rebecca Admire Herman, who has written Lead Me Out to the Ballgame. And part of the duo of Padres 360. So let's give Rebecca a holler and we'll bring her on. I hope I have her phone number.
Would be interesting if you didn't.
Is this you playing the guitar, Brian?
It is. Let me just keep strumming here.
All right. See if we can get her pick up on her second ring today. There's two.
Good morning, Miss Rebecca.
Good morning, Rebecca. This is Norm with Clubhouse Chatter. How you doing this morning?
Great, thank you.
All right. So, hey, what's the weather like down there in San Diego?
It's actually very lovely today. After having some literally scorching heat, it's going to be very beautiful today.
Nice. Well, we got wind and rain up here in Oregon. So on the phone with us is Dr. Rebecca Admire Herman. We have a doctor in the house, and she is part of the duo along with Wayne with Padres 360. But you guys do a great job covering the Padres down there. But that is not why we have her on tonight. We have her on because she wrote a book, Lead Me to the Ballgame. Lead Me Out to the Ballgame, correct? Did I get that right?
That's correct, yes.
And so who did you write? You had a partner writing the book.
Yes, Howard Farrell and I did it together. Took us about 2 years. He lives on the East Coast. He's actually out in Connecticut, so we were able to split up a lot of the teams that way. Worked out pretty well.
All right, and so what brought this on?
Well, we were at a conference, and we were talking and said, gosh, we should write a book. And we were kind of joking around like you do at conferences, right? And and I said, well, what would it be? And he goes, well, leadership's our thing, but we really like baseball. I wonder if we could interview managers and find out how they lead. And, this is like October of 2011, I think it was. And we're like, okay, let's see. And we actually followed up on it. You have these ideas when you get together and then nothing ever comes to fruition. Where we got to talking, and we said, well, we have no idea what we're doing, and or even how to navigate Major League Baseball, but we're going to give it a go. And so next thing you know, we were at spring training and doing interviews.
So let's talk about a couple of the managers. Producer Brian and I are here. We were talking about, the standings in baseball right now. And, of course, you got the Oakland A's up at the top at the American League West. Again, the A's, year in, year out, they don't spend a heck of a lot of money, but yet they've won 2 American League West titles in a row. And their manager, Bob Melvin, he's got to be a big part of this. What is it about Bob Melvin?
Well, and Bob is great. He was actually one of the very first managers that got interviewed for the book. He's been super supportive, even for an endorsement for us. But we think of the world of him as far as, leadership perspective goes. He's a great guy in general, but he's also a really great leader. And everyone we talked to from the team talked about him and how he came in a difficult situation and was able to really communicate expectations and help everyone see how they were an important part. There was also a lot of clarity. Like, people were not understanding, am I going to get to play, or what's happening, what's my future? And that happens in business, too. When a new leader comes in, you never know. And he was really able to come in pretty quickly through his communication style and really establish trust with the guys and open this line and just be really, really direct with them. They always say, we always know where we stand. We just know it's for the best of the team. And, we want to make sure that, we're getting used the best way we can. We know the Pop's going to do that for us. So I think it's his communication. Is really stressed about how he really gets out to get to know each guy, really wants to pull the most out of them, and then it's always the focus on the A's. It's not about individual names on the back of the shirt. He really is focused on the team.
Right. So what other managers have you talked to?
Well, quite a few. They were quite a diverse group, too. I interviewed Don Mattingly. Of course, he was pretty interesting to talk with just because, he had such a long player history. He was fairly new with the Dodgers when I interviewed him. He was in my first interviews in 2012. So he was starting his second season with them as far as being the skipper role. But he's also very family-oriented, really wants to have the guys understand. And I know he's had some challenges even since we talked to him because he's had quite a few personalities to manage, let's face it, with the Dodgers. Yep. But he really, and I can see frustration on his face even just watching from the stands because he really embraces the whole, he was raised on Yankee baseball, right? So, he was raised on clean cut, and you toe the line, and it's all about the team, and we're to be totally professional. And when I think he's had a little bit of a struggle trying to keep that kind of discipline, but he does it, and we've seen him do it when he's sat players down. He's a great example. He just says, "You're not playing today," because he wants to instill that discipline that he was raised on, I think, and that he understands that it's important to win championships. So he's been pretty interesting to watch, especially since he's in my own division, so I get to see him quite a bit that way. Love talking with Ron Washington. Talk about your salt-of-the-earth guy. And we had a very long interview, and he's old school. So you got to look at some of these. It's amazing that the different managers out there today have such different perspectives, yet they can still accomplish great things, right? He's very old school. He's about, I'm gonna, if I want them to be cheering, I'm gonna start jumping up and down the dugout and be cheering too. He's just a funny guy that way, and he was raised on, if my manager told me, he said that if I didn't catch that ball, that I was going to have to pay $1. And he said, I wouldn't make it that much money. I didn't want to pay him $1. So they had this whole kitty thing going. Well, they don't. It goes today with what the salaries are. You can't do that, but you have to find other ways to motivate, other ways to inspire. And he's a very big disciplinarian, too. So there seemed to be a little bit of a theme for those that communicate well, that expect a certain level of discipline, and that also really baseball is a bunch of individuals out there with a lot of individual statistics, but they need to bring them together to really be a team, because that's the only time they're going to go very far is if they're a team.
Right. So out of all the managers that you've interviewed, I mean, besides the Padres managers, because I know you're a huge Padres fan, who was your favorite to chat with and why?
Gosh, that's really hard. I mean, in fact, I really enjoyed my chat with Ron. I also really enjoyed talking with Ned Yost of the Royals. I found him to be a very kind of cerebral leader, and he had some interesting stories to share, even that are non-baseball, that talked about, what's gotten him to where he is today. And he talked about, he's a best friend with Dale Earnhardt, and how he is the one that taught him about competing. That, being best friends with something like Dale Earnhardt really, drove for him that, he always told him, you've got to compete, Ned. You've got to get out there, and you've got to want it in order to get it. And really, that was an interesting example for me, because I'm also a really big NASCAR fan. So having that conversation was really interesting. I enjoyed them all, to be honest. Manny actually was a huge surprise. I found, and now that I know he's now, of course, doing some analyst work for ESPN. I found out by talking to Manny that he's just an enormous fan and scholar of John Wooden. Mm-hmm. So he developed many, even though he came to this country and learned the language while he's also trying to learn baseball and lead in this country. He just was enthralled with the coach John Wooden, and it just stuck him immensely. And it was fascinating to see that that's where, as he comes here and absorbs the culture here, that was the person he locked onto, which I think, is a great person to lock onto.
Yeah, Manny is an interesting guy. I've met Manny a couple of times, and yeah, he's a pretty cool guy, and he's come a long ways. I think. Yeah, I think he should be managing right now, still. So,
I would like to see that again, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, give us a couple more managers that you've chatted, and chat a little bit about them. And have you talked to Joe Madden with the Rays?
Yeah, actually, my partner Howard got to talk to Joe because, of course, he was on the East Coast. But Joe loves to talk. I mean, he had so many wonderful stories. He's just such a funny guy. He certainly is. And it was interesting because we ended up getting the trifecta, so to speak. If you remember back when the Angels won the World Series, and so many of Mike Scioscia's coaches, they all got promoted to their own teams, right? Buddy Black, Don Renicky, Joe Madden, who else am I missing? Was it John Farrell? No. Anyway, those guys, they were all out there, and they all got promoted at the same time, the managers after that World Series. And it's interesting because they're all so different. I think Ron and Buddy are probably a little more aligned, but then you got Joe, who's just he's just a crazy dude, right? But he gets things. I think there's not very many managers out there that could pull off what he does and be highly successful. But that story that was running around last week is very indicative of how Joe runs the team. He says, "You guys are stinking later. I'm going to make small work clothes tonight." Really? But and he does these trips where he dresses them up and says, "Okay, we're going to fly as cowboys. We're going to fly as nerds. We're going to," and these themed road trips. He dresses up too. I mean, he's not one to say. And I love that. He's a lead-by-example guy because he's not one to say, okay, you guys are going to go do this and build the team. He's right in the thick of it. He wants to be part of it, and he wants to show them that he's part of them and really leads by example while he's, the chemistry that he builds with the team, the excitement, the whole culture. This is baseball. We're going to have fun. We're going to get down to business. But, there's no reason you can't have fun while you're doing it. And a lot of people think he's unorthodox, but you can't argue with his results for darn sure, right? So.
Absolutely. I love those dress-up theme, travel days. And so how can one purchase your book? Where can they go?
Yeah, Amazon has the book. As a matter of fact, we have if you purchase the paperback, you can also get a Kindle copy for free, which is kind of nice. So that's a great deal, and I think Amazon has a pretty good price on it right now. They're always competitive, and we'd love to have you guys read it and give us some feedback too. It certainly has been a project that was a labor of love, and to be able to talk to the players too. We also interviewed players to make sure we were connecting with how they felt about how they're being led. So it's got a leadership theme to it. It's really focused on how to lead, and then all told through the eyes and the lens of baseball stories. So we think you'll enjoy it.
Definitely, I can't wait to take a look at it. And so let's change gears a little bit and let's talk Padres. So,
all right,
what do the Padres need to do to stay competitive?
Well, first I just got to say, I'm just stunned that we're 21-23. I mean, I don't remember the last time we were ever that in May.
Right.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we're fourth in our division with that record because we have 3 teams that are well over 500. We've got the Giants are over 600 right now. So, but we're, it's May and the Padres are still. Technically, we're still in it.
Oh yeah.
It's not 5-15 like last year where I wanted to jump off the Omni Bridge there.
Right.
So yeah, we're doing some things really well. We just got to start hitting. Oh my goodness! I mean, when I look at the fact that we have of our starters, we've got Jerko, Headley, Venable, and Marista. They're all under 200.
Right.
You can't have that. You can't have half your starting lineup under 200. And I think you're going to move in this division that's highly competitive in L West. We just got to get some hitting going. Our pitching's been very good, even with some setbacks here and there. But Seth Smith's been an enormous surprise. He's come in and just stunned us. I think he's hitting 333 right now, and he's got doubles galore. I think he's got a dozen doubles. So
wow.
That's really good. I mean, he's on base, and he came 2 games in a row last week. He was 1 position shy of hitting a cycle. The Padres have never had a cycle. And
really?
one night we were playing. We're the last team. We don't have a cycle. We don't have a no hitter. Yes, we're that team.
Wow.
And he just needed a single. He didn't get, and he got walked the time before, and he came up and he didn't get the next at bat. So we were just hugely disappointed. We thought we were holding our breath at first in San Diego, saying, "We'll get the cycle now." But it still hasn't happened. So he's been a great surprise. And we've also, I think, if I had to give a most improved award, it'd probably be Ray Rivera. The catcher.
Yep.
He's been catching better. I think defensively he's improved this year, and my goodness, his offense has greatly improved. He's even got a couple home runs.
So Renee and I go back a long ways. He's been around for a long time, and so I remember when he played with the Everett Aqua Sox when he was in the Mariners organization, and they had come through Salem Kaiser, and we actually became pretty good friends with Renee, and of course now we've lost touch with him, but. For a number of years, we kept in touch with him, and just a great guy. And it's awesome to see him having some success. I mean, because he's done it the hard way. He's just grinded, and there was a couple of years to where he wasn't here, and he was playing ball elsewhere, and now he's back, and he is doing quite well. So that's kind of a cool little deal for Renee. But we go back.
He's been doing great. We met him originally when we were visiting the Tucson Padres. That's where he originally hooked up with him. And he's pretty active on Twitter. You might have to reconnect with him that way.
Yeah, I might have to try that out. So you guys, so now you and Wayne, you guys hit Lake Elsinore the other day, did you not?
We were there last night. We had a great time last night, and they won, and they had like Star Wars night. But we love going up to Lake Elsinore and seeing our single A affiliate. It's their 20th season, so they're having all year long. They have special logos for that. They're having a lot of events. They have a new manager this year. Jamie Quirk is managing them now.
Yep.
And we could tell a difference, even being there for batting practice and such. They definitely have the whole pregame. Everything is very organized. Everyone's kind of platooned in the different activities they're doing before even they get to the batting cages. It was very interesting to watch how he had everything structured very developmentally, which is obviously great for a single-A team. You really want to see a lot of that happening.
So Lake Elsinore is one of my favorite stops in the Cal League. I remember when I was clubhouse manager with Lancaster back in 2006. Spent a lot of time in Lake Elsinore. In fact, I got some great stories about Lake Elsinore. I witnessed an almost no-hitter. In fact, Greg Smith, who I can't remember who he's pitching with now. I think he's in the Phillies organization now, but he had a no-hitter going in the ninth, and I was in the clubhouse. And so I wanted to be a part of this. So I left the clubhouse. I made the long walk down the stairs into the dugout, and like not even a minute after I had sat down, he had 2 outs, and he had given up a base hit. And I got banned from the dugout for 2 weeks for that. I got fined in kangaroo court, and then they decided that, they grounded me from the dugout for 2 weeks for that because I broke up the no-hitter. And then
baseball, it's got a lot of superstitions, and you came to the dugout and probably messed the whole thing up.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And I felt bad. Smitty, he was pretty cool about it. He knew, that he threw a bad pitch, but also Lake Elsinore was probably one of the best pranks that I had ever seen go down. And so Lake Elsinore has a dog named Thunder, and he is one of the best mascots in minor league baseball. In fact,
he's fantastic.
Thunder at the time in 2006, Alex was the mascot, and he is now the pirate, the bird in Pittsburgh. And so, so Alex got together with me, and we played a prank on our bus driver Andy. And so they also have they have a rabbit named Jackpot who pops out of the fence on a home run, does a little dance, and then he goes back into his little hole. Well, we had Thunder and Jackpot show up at the team hotel there at the Lake Elsinore Hotel and Casino, and they basically tarred and feathered Andy. So 1 o'clock in the morning, they knocked on Andy's door, and Rob Nepper, the trainer, and I are standing around the corner, and we watched Thunder and Jackpot throw some water followed by baby powder on Andy. And it was the craziest thing because we had breakfast the following morning, and we listened, to Andy sit down. He looked kind of tired, and so we called him out on it, and he was like, "Man, you guys are not going to believe me." He goes, "If I told you this." And we're like, "What?" He goes, "The mascots, they threw water and baby." We're like, "Yeah, you spent too much time in the bar that night and stuff." And I mean, we were just busting up laughing. And I think it was like 3 or 4 years later, I let him in on that. Yeah, we pulled that one on you. But so Lake Elsinore is one of my favorites, and the Storm do a great job. And in fact, the manager, Alan Benavides, general manager here in Eugene now, used to be in Lake Elsinore, and he does a great job with the Emeralds. So, but glad you guys had a good time. They also have the best tri-tip sandwich in the league there. I don't know if they still serve that, but I know back in 2006 they had the best tri-tip sandwich in the league. So
I have not tried it. Well, last night we were kind of splitting duties because we were there for Padres 360 to do interviews, and we had several interviews lined up, so we were, really engaged in that. But it was also annual Padres Fanatics Members Night.
Right.
There were like 300 of us there for that. So we would go down the field. I was taking pictures. And I was running up to do the Fanatic stuff. So they had a whole buffet for us for that. So I didn't get to try it, but I want to make sure I get that to try it.
Definitely. Well, Rebecca, thank you for coming on. We need to get you and Wayne back on with Padres 360 sometime soon. And go ahead and plug your book real quick again.
Yeah, leave me out to the Ballgame, and it's available on Amazon.
All right.
Hope you guys check it out.
We definitely will. Rebecca, once again, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, and Wayne and I look forward to being on soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So there you go, Dr. Rebecca Admire Herman. Lead me out to the ball game. I cannot wait to read it. You know, they do a great job down there in the San Diego area with the San Diego 360, the Padres 360, and check them out. They're on Facebook. I think Padres360.com is their website. So I'm Norm. That's Brian Erickson, producer Brian, and thank you for listening.